Welcome to our demonstration of our class project for Introduction to Data Mining. For the visualization portion of our project, we improved on the 3D Scatterplot plugin for Wikia, which is available in the latest developmental release. So Wikia is just a collection of machine learning algorithms for data mining. Wikia contains tools for data preprocessing, classification, regression, clustering, association rules, and visualization. And it is just well suited for experimenting with various machine learning algorithms and various visualizations. As you can see, I've already started Wikia, and we're going to begin by selecting the Explorer option. So I've selected the Explorer option, and up top you can see we have a number of options to choose from, but they're all grayed out right now. So we'll start by opening a file. I'm going to choose the colon cancer dataset. Now the colon cancer dataset contains 62 samples. 40 are tumor samples, 22 are normal samples collected from colon cancer patients, and then these samples were analyzed using microarray technology. And in this data set, it contains about 2,000 of the 6,500 genes that were originally collected. Now that we have a data set loaded, we can perform some attribute selection. So I'm going to go over to the Select Attribute tab. I'm going to choose an attribute selection method, and I'm going to click Start. Now, what this will provide me is a subset of relevant features that I can use in my visualization tool. Now that we have identified the most relevant attributes, we can visualize them using the 3D Scatterplot plugin. I'll first show you the plugin that's originally provided with the developmental version of Wikia. So we'll go over and click on the Visualize tab. Right now you can see that there's no key. I have no idea what the colored dots mean. The whole graph isn't even displayed. You'll also notice that the labels on each axis are difficult to read. So here you can barely make out the HSA 1648. So let's zoom out, see if we can't find the legend. There it is. So the legend's part of the graph, and it rotates and moves with the graph. So depending on your orientation, it's very difficult to see. But here you can make out a T for the tumorous samples and an N for the negative samples. So let's go back now to the Attribute Selection tab. And you'll see we can pick the top 3 attributes. So let's go ahead and try to plug them into the Visualize 3D. So finding the HSA 810 is going to be a challenge. You have over 2,000 attributes, and finding this without any sort of key or order is going to be very difficult. So that's another problem we identified with this. So I'm just going to zoom out, give everyone one more look of it. You also can notice that, the lines aren't very smooth either. So we're going to close this down, and I am going to start up the new and improved 3D version. Alright, I've restarted Wikia. I'm going to select the Explorer, open a file, Now we can perform our attribute selection. Now that the attribute selection has completed, we can visualize the graph. So right now these attributes are just randomly assigned to axes. The first thing you can notice is the legend. The legend is always going to be in the top right hand corner. And even as you translate the graph left to right, up and down, the legend is going to stay in the same place. And as you rotate the graph about its axis, the legend is always staying in the place. So you always know what the colors mean at all times. Now you should also notice that as we rotate the graph here about the x-axis, the label is always going to be pointing toward the user. So as much as possible, we try to keep the labels visible. And also as you rotate it around, the text is always reading right to left. When we've also added a display properties dialog, bring that in. So you can change the various settings of the graph to suit your needs. So we'll make the bigger point size and change it to magenta so it looks more like what was already provided. Click OK, and we can update the display. So now you have the magenta axis, you have slightly larger points. So it gives you a little bit more control over how your graph is being displayed and some of the colors being used. Now let's go back to the Selection Attribute tab. Now you'll notice at Selected Attributes, it gives you the attribute number as well as the label for the attribute. So what we've done is on the graph is we've added the attribute numbers to the drop down. So you have 144, 250, and 259. So we can go here and select the appropriate numbers. So start out at 144. The next attribute is 250. Then 259. And finally, we just hit Update Display. And we can visualize these top three attributes. And one thing you notice is that there seems to be a pretty good grouping of a tumor cluster around this axis, whereas the non-tumors tend to be clustered above here. And so you can rotate your graph around and visualize the different points from different angles. And one last feature I like to show is just how continuous attributes are displayed. So I'm just going to select any of these, and it's going to click Update. And on the right hand side, you can see the legend. It's color coded, it goes between red and blue, and the various points are colored in that spectrum. That's about it, and thank you very much.